welcome to the first video in the 4-part series on how to build your brand as an emerging leader and no longer be the best kept secret in your organization. A few years ago, I spent time studying the roadblocks that we face as women when wanting to advance our careers, and I identified 6 critical missteps that you might be making that could be putting a lid on your career advancement. Misstep number 1 is waiting to be promoted. You know, you can't afford to wait for someone to come hand you a leadership role or hand you a promotion. You really need to take charge of your own leadership trajectory. I'll say more about misstep number 1 a little later in this video. Misstep number 2 is allowing others to define your reputation. We'll be speaking about building a leadership brand for yourself, but you already have a brand. It's just that others have created it for you. You're perceived a certain way. They've branded you. And so you owe it to yourself to understand how you're perceived so you can own it and strengthen it, or subtly shift it by rebranding yourself. Okay, ready for number 3? Number 3 is called building a brand that will dead end your career. Now, it's important when you head out to advance as an emerging leader to create a leadership brand that scales up with you at critical points when you want to advance your career. Now, if you're finding that people are coming to you with requests and opportunities and projects that are the type of thing you are really excited to do a few years ago, but frankly you feel like you've moved beyond those today, well, you might have created a brand that's heading you into a cul-de-sac. So I'm going to talk about how to build a brand that will scale up and lead to your career advancement at certain key points in your career. Step 4 is working too hard. You know, the corporate workforce is full of good, honest, hard-working women who are sitting at their desk, delivering incredible results to their organization, but they're wondering when someone's going to stop by and recognize them and reward it. That means being the best kept secret in your organization. So if you're finding that you're not attracting the type of visibility and recognition that you want to see in your career, take a little piece of your time, not just to get the work done, but to step away from your desk and go do some of the things we're about to talk about in this video series. Step 5 is accepting low visibility assignments rather than going after the types of projects and roles and opportunities that showcase your higher level leadership abilities. And finally, critical misstep number 6 that might be putting a lid on your career development is downplaying your accomplishments. You know, we're not all comfortable promoting ourselves and promoting our value, but you need to find some ways that are authentic to who you are, but also are effective within the team culture that you're a part of. And I'll share some of those with you later in this video series. So let's take a closer look at the first misstep, waiting to be promoted. I'm often asked by women, what's the greatest roadblock that women face when wanting to advance their professional careers? And after many years of thinking about that and having some great conversations about it, I've come to believe it's this. It's the emerging leaders quandary. Now, the emerging leaders quandary is a roadblock that you'll come up against at a time in your career when you least expect it, because you're doing great and you're going above and beyond to deliver your job description and role and offering great value to your organization. So you're really kicking butt. And yet for some reason you just can't seem to get recognized as someone who's ready to take on a bigger, more responsible role. And it's because you've come right up against this emerging leaders quandary, which is when you can't get that higher level leadership job without the leadership experience. But of course, as everyone knows, it's really hard to get the experience without the job. And so it's up to you to break out and establish yourself as an up-and-coming leader while doing the job you're in today, not the job you might prefer to be doing. So you'll need to find ways to break out and demonstrate your higher level leadership capabilities without waiting for someone to come hand you a promotion, or without waiting for someone to come say, hey, you get to be a leader now. Because frankly, if your career plan is to wait for those things to happen, you might actually need to plan on waiting a rather long time. So you can't afford to wait for someone to give you an invitation or permission to lead. And you definitely can't afford to wait for someone to hand you a promotion. You need to take charge of your own career trajectory. I spoke with a woman recently, a software engineer, who said, I feel like I'm the best kept secret in my organization. Maybe that's something that you've felt at some point in your career. Maybe you can relate. What she was referring to at the time was that she felt she had a level of qualities and experience and background and was delivering value to her organization at a really high level. And yet, for some reason, everyone around her saw her as somewhat less. And until she closed that gap in how she was perceived, she wasn't going to attract that next level role that she was looking for. So in this 4-part video series, I'm going to share with you some specific steps that you can take that I hope are easy and actionable, that will help you close the gap in how you're perceived and no longer be the best kept secret in your organization and take charge of your own career advancement. In the next video, I'm going to discuss how to identify your ideal career niche, your sweet spot in your career, and maneuver into a role and ultimately into a career path where you get to do stuff that you love, that you're great at, that is highly valued by your organization.